Are you ready for the best damn sports radio show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
Every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that thing. Why I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who's coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Stripes like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're After Dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzz beaters. We coming live all through your speakers, go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckhiser here with the Man Hour. Head over to manhourradio.com. Check out the merchandise page, the blog section, and of course, the members only tab. As little as $3 a month, you can join the members only tab there. You get the after show footage, 10 p.m. East Coast time over on the YouTube page. Or you can get a t-shirt or a hoodie as well. But let's welcome the man, the myth, the legend himself, Brandon BC Combs & Co. What's going on, Brandon?
What is going on, Buck? What's going on, Man Hour Nation? Buck, we don't see you again, man. Want to tell the people what's going on or what?
Well, like I said, I'm in the process of moving and building a house. So we sold our house and we closed our house in 3 days, right? So I technically I'm homeless right now. So I'm trying to find that place to live, and these Monday shows for us they're hard for me to get on because my wife does work a nursing shift, and they're supposed to get off at X time, but everybody that works in the nursing field knows you don't really get off at X time. So
I'll tell you this much. Without you on the show, at least we're not going to have to listen to how Texas Southern is going to win the national title and run this bracket, because that's the craziness you would have come up with if you would have been on the show today.
Actually, you want to hear some craziness? I would have had Louisville, they're in the on deck circle, right? I would have had, I don't know, let's say North Carolina saying, "Oh, we can't play because we got the old COVID." Louisville comes in there and they run the table. That's what is going to happen. And Wyatt would be on cloud 9 if that were to happen.
Oh my God. I don't even know what I would do. I would lose my mind. I would probably cry. But selection Sunday yesterday. I have been filling out brackets left and right. I literally just filled out a bracket while I was waiting for you guys to stop going back and forth and bring me on. So, man, this is my favorite time. You guys know how much I love basketball. We got Hoosier Anderson. Buck is looking at
Anderson comes in
in a van
Buck
down
is living
by the river.
In a van down by the river eating government cheese. That is amazing.
It's awesome. But
so, do you think that Louisville got the biggest slate? What about Drake?
No, Drake made it.
Or not? God, who's the team I'm thinking of? They were 26-4.
Belmont,
and they got Belmont. There you go. Sorry.
Yeah. So, I like Belmont a lot. I think they're a really good team, but I just think they play in a really weak conference, and they still couldn't win their conference tournament. I believe it was Morehead State came out on top of that. I could be completely wrong. Don't take my word on that one. But they didn't win their conference. Louisville didn't win their conference as well. But Louisville plays in a conference that had the second most teams make the tournament, that being the ACC. The only other conference that had more teams make it was the Big Ten. So they play in a tougher conference. They play, even though it was a down year for the ACC, the normal bread and butter of college basketball with Duke and North Carolina, even though it's still a down year, it's still the ACC. It's still a great division. I think Louisville. Yeah, if I had to pick though, I would take Utah State out. I don't think Utah State deserved to be in. I think they played in a weak conference. I don't think they did much in their weak conference. So, but also once again, I'm a Louisville fan, so I'm going to be biased on that, of course. But nonetheless,
see, that's where I think Belmont got a more raw deal than I get that they don't, but they were 26-4.
Yeah, but
I mean that's
Louisville would have been 30-0, I think, in that conference, at least close to it. They'd have been better than 26-4. You stick Duke in that conference, Duke would have been 30-0.
But no, because if you put those teams in those conferences, they don't have the same talent going to their college.
No, I'm
That's
just
the
saying, like,
difference.
team for team right now. Team for team.
Right. Well, team
If you
for team,
put-
sure. But I think that what they did, even though, yes, they play lesser competition to an extent, I still think that 26-4 should get you into the tournament. I mean, you look at some of these at-large bids that got in, and I mean, you can make a case for Belmont over pretty much any of them.
I don't know, though. I mean, I just think that everybody can say, you know, if you move Belmont around to any of these big conferences, dude, if you had Belmont in the Big Ten, if Belmont played Big Ten, they wouldn't win 10 games. Like, there's no way. They just, it would, and I know that they get less talent because they're in a lesser conference, but we're looking at team for team here. So if we're going to look at team for team, I just can't see. And Utah State's the same way. If Utah State is in the Big Ten or the ACC, let's just say the ACC where Louisville is, I think they maybe get 10 wins, if that, probably less. And Louisville finished with 13. But also you got to think Louisville only got 13 because they only played, I think it was 20 games. I think they finished 13-7. But they dealt with COVID issues. They had a whole like month and a half off of basketball, and then played North Carolina, an 8 seed in the tournament at North Carolina to start that off, and they got throttled at North Carolina. So Louisville got the short end of the stick because of COVID as well. Not just the tournament. You know, I totally agree that Louisville should have had a better record because for the team they had. Jones is a great guard, but man, they got the short end of the stick on COVID. So you know, it is what it is. You know, you can't cry about it. I mean, Louisville didn't make it. I just find it ironic because over in the corner of my room up there, on my top shelf, I have a Rick Pitino signed ball. And Rick Pitino, of course, the former coach at Louisville.
Oh, they should have made it just for that.
Had all the issues. Yeah, had all the issues. But Rick Pitino makes it at Iona. He leaves and goes to Iona after he didn't leave. He got fired. Went to Iona, and now he's in the tournament, and Louisville didn't make it. I think Rick Pitino right now got the biggest win of everybody in the entire tournament. Rick Pitino right now is smiling from ear to ear. He's like looking. He's like, man, my former team didn't make the tournament without me, man. What are they doing over there? And then he goes to Iona, and like I said, they scratch in as a 15 seed. They're playing Alabama right out the gate, so they'll lose first game, but still, you know, they were a 9 seed going into their conference tournament. They beat everybody, won their conference tournament, and then Pitino makes it in, but Louisville doesn't. That's hilarious to me.
So you don't think that a team like a Drake or a team like I don't know. Let's see who else is out there in the play-in. Was it who else didn't win their conference and got into the play-in? Was it Appalachian State?
I believe so.
Yeah. So if you take Appalachian State, you're telling me that you can't put a Belmont in over an Appalachian State? They got a better record.
You maybe could. Appalachian State has better wins though than Belmont. But also, I think it goes the same way for Louisville being the first team out. I think Louisville has better than Appalachian State. But the biggest one, I think, and if you're going to talk about Belmont State, Belmont, I think Belmont, you know, could have got snubbed. You know, if you do look at Appalachian State there, but I think Belmont will probably be the biggest one other than Louisville that did get snubbed. So I will agree with you there that Belmont does have a really good record, but the biggest thing is they couldn't come out on the conference. That's when it all matters, you know. You can have the best start of the season, but just if you don't win your conference and you play in a weak conference like that, it's going to go against you every single time. Where that is the benefit of being in these bigger conferences is you can still lose your conference, you know, and still essentially make it. You know, we had the Final Four of the Big Ten, all of those made it, and only Illinois won. Now, I'm not, you know, trying to use that as an example because all 4 of those teams are spectacular and amazing, and most likely we'll see one of those, maybe 2 or more, in the Final Four. But I mean, you know, and like I said, it is what it is. You know, I've already moved on. My heart was broken. I have coped with that. I've dealt with that, and I'm ready to go. Hopefully.
Well, I mean, it could be worse, right? Because Louisville or Belmont, they could have gone undefeated and not made the tournament. Much
if
like
they would have went undefeated, though, they would have made it.
Well, California Baptist, the women's side, not going to the tournament, and they're undefeated, and they won their conference tournament.
They haven't been in the Division I long enough, though, right? That was the stipulation for them, correct?
So you have to be in Division I for at least 4 years.
Okay, 4 years. I thought it was 3, but it's 4.
And they have been in women's basketball for 3 years in Division I. Why is that a rule? And if so, why are they allowed to play in the conference tournament?
I will give that to you. Just to win the trophy. I think it's probably the reason why they just put him in there, to be able to stack up on that trophy and get ready for that situation. But I do agree with you. I think if you go undefeated, which we'll address that comment in just a minute, if you do win your conference, and you go undefeated, I think you absolutely deserve to be in. Absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that one.
Yeah. And I don't understand, like, if it's a thing where they can't make the NCAA tournament for 4 years, why don't you just say, hey, you can't have you can't make your conference tournament either. Like, you can't have any way to, you can't win any like, I just don't understand you can't make the March Madness, but they can go to the NIT. That's the other thing. They're going to the NIT.
Well, the NIT is not run by the NCAA. It's a different situation. So I mean, it is what it sucks. Absolutely. I hate that for them, but it's kind of the way the cookie crumbles. But the biggest thing that I hate about it is that, like, it's not like they went, let's say, what was their overall record? I know they were undefeated. I forgot the number. It was 20.
I believe it was 24-0.
Okay, 24-0.
Not mistaken.
Let's say of that, let's say they go 24-4. Okay, it would be totally different if they were 24-4. And lost in the first game of the tournament conference or something like that, and then they wouldn't have an argument now. But, like, they undefeated, you win your conference, like, I just feel like that's a snub. Like, you totally.
And it's not like it's not like it's a no-name conference. It's the WAC. I mean, the WAC. Look, it's not college football, but the WAC in college basketball is not a horrible conference.
Yeah, who's in that conference again? I'm trying to remember.
So you got California Baptist. They beat. Let's see who's in that conference real quick. Who did they beat? Is it St. John's? Something like that. But anyway, I mean, it's not a horrible conference.
Yeah.
In college basketball, especially in women's college basketball. So
sure.
I don't understand the whole thing by the NCAA. It's just the NCAA. I mean, the NCAA does
exactly
stupid
what
stuff.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, it's you can't get around it, but it is what it is.
So I want to bring this comment back up here. Tori, it says, you put Gonzaga on the Horizon League and they go undefeated. These are terrible arguments. Well, I do agree that Gonzaga does play in a weak conference, but the difference is Gonzaga was undefeated. Gonzaga won their conference. Gonzaga beat great teams. Gonzaga beat Iowa. Gonzaga beat some Big 12 teams.
Right.
They beat the best of the best in the best conferences too. So, they do play in a weak conference, absolutely, like Belmont, but Belmont never did beat the best teams in the Big 12 and the Big 10.
What he's saying is, let's say Kentucky. You can take any team and say, well, if you put Kentucky in the Big East, they win that division running away. If you put Kentucky in this in conference, they win that
Kentucky wouldn't win any division this year.
But I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Just because the level of competition. I think that Belmont got the biggest snub. I think Louisville got snubbed as well. I think some teams got in that show, but that's the tournament, man. That's what happens when you have a selection committee. We have this every year, whether it's college football or college basketball. Every year we have an argument. Why didn't this team make it? Why didn't that? And that's what makes it so much fun. Is because you sit here and you play the what if game.
Yeah, and I even want to correct myself. I don't want to just say Louisville got snubbed because Louisville had enough issues internally that they shouldn't have made the bracket. Once again, a Louisville fan speaking here. That's why that's why I was salty about it. But at the end of the day, Louisville did not meet the curriculum to get there. And actually, if I was on that committee, genuine honesty here, non-fan speaking, I don't think I would have put Louisville in either. I think they'd have been my first out. So that is honesty right there. But as a fan, I'm mad. Louisville should have made it. But in genuine honesty, I absolutely see why Louisville didn't make it. They had 7 losses out of 20 games. That's not anything spectacular. So absolutely. It is what it is. And they also lost in the first game. Excuse me. Of the
stop it.
The ACC tournament.
It's got to be Buck.
It's got to be.
Big 10 is overrated.
Big 10's overrated.
The Big 10 is not overrated.
Big 10 had the most.
Yeah, you've got Maryland, you've got Ohio State, you've got Illinois, you've got Purdue, you've got these are all legit threats in this tournament. And
I think
Wisconsin.
It might be a Sweet 16 team. I think they might knock off the one seed. Who do they play again?
Rutgers too.
Rutgers is a 10 seed. Dude, Rutgers is not to be slept on. Absolutely.
No, not at all. So to say that the Big Ten's overrated, you're out of your mind.
Well, and the Big Ten had more teams in the tournament than any other conference. The Big Ten is the one that we're talking about right now that will most likely have two or more, maybe at least one team in the Final Four. I mean, they're just
when I filled out my bracket, I'm not going to lie, and we'll talk about our brackets a little bit later as well. I've got 3 out of my 4 Final Four are coming out of the Big Ten.
I don't think you're wrong on that.
I didn't
have that on mine yet, but I will say, like I said, this is my favorite time of the year. We got Hoosier Hysteria high school basketball going on now in Indiana. We've got March Madness. We've got it's a beautiful basketball moment, and it's a do or die. Whenever you really get to see what these teams at the high school and at the college level are really made of. It's whenever the heart really comes out in these teams. You have the Cinderella teams. I mean, in Indiana right now, I know you don't know about this, and a lot of people listening don't. But right now, we have a team called, I believe it's Southridge. They came into the tournament 10-10, and they're currently in the Final Four at 10-10, and they might actually win it all.
That's
Seriously.
why we play the games, people. That's why we play the games. But anyway, at any rate, we got to get to our first break. We're up against it right now. But when we come back, man, big day in the NFL. Lots of stuff to get to.
Huge.
We will get there when we come back. Just a couple of minutes. And welcome back to the Man Hour, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Brandon Combs here. You can catch me on Twitter at manhour_Combs. Or you can catch Wyatt Williams as well at manhour_TWW. That stands for The Wyatt Williams. And if you have not yet, go ahead, click like and share on that YouTube page. Click like and subscribe on Facebook as well. Head over to manhourradio.com. Pick up yourself some of the best merchandise of the best damn sports radio show on the planet. Wyatt, buddy, are you excited for today? Like, were you excited to find out that you had a running back that you were paying $140 million to over the next 4 years? Because the Green Bay Packers signed Aaron Jones, and I know we were talking about him going to Miami. 4 years, $140 million. What are your thoughts, sir?
Today was a rough day. First, I saw that.
Welcome to a Bears fan's life.
I also saw Drew Brees, one of my childhood idols, retired. Happy for him, but a bittersweet moment where it kind of breaks your heart to see a guy like that go. Louisville got snubbed out of the tournament. I had a rough day, Combs. I had a rough day, man. I had one heck of a day. But nonetheless, I was talking about Aaron Jones here. So Aaron's a great running back. He is a I would say top 5, maybe, top 10, maybe top 5 running back in the league. Absolutely. I think he's a top 3 receiving back in the league. That is just a really good downhill runner that catches the ball very well out of the backfield. He's an awesome talent, and he deserves a lot of money. But he doesn't deserve a lot of the Packers' money, I don't think. I think we saw last year Aaron Jones have one of those years where he said, hey, I'm going to have a really good game to show you guys what I'm worth, but also at the same time, I'm going to sit out to show you what you need me and miss me for. So I think we saw that a little bit from him. He was kind of shadowing in and out. He'd have great games, and then he'd kind of just disappear. When we drafted A.J. Dillon, this is something I saw Greg Bauman comment on our Facebook thing, and I totally agree with him. This is something I've said for a long time. When I saw that we drafted A.J. Dillon, I really thought, this is the moment. This is, where we move on from Aaron Jones, because it's going to happen. It's inevitable. Everybody moves on from everybody. Nothing is forever. Change is always inevitable. But so I thought that it was going to be Jamal Adams and A.J. Dillon. I thought we were going to have 2 power backs at the helm next year. I was so excited. And then I see this, and I'm like, oh, come on, guys.
Yeah, it was too quick there. It was 4 years, 48 million, not 140, that's a lot. Like I said. Yeah.
No, it was 4 years and 48. But, and that's... It's not bad. It's not a terrible contract. At least the Packers got away with not paying him an insane amount. But at the same time, that $48 million could have been used in a lot of other places because we've got backup running backs that can replace him. Maybe not in the receiving game, but we don't need a receiving running back. Sure, it helps because you got somebody you can check it down to, but Green Bay needs a running back. We need a running back.
You had Jamal, what's the name? Jamal Hill?
Williams.
Or Williams. So you had Jamal Williams, but you guys are definitely up there in Green Bay are in desperate need of wide receiver help. I really believe that. I really believe that. You can call. I don't think it would hurt. I don't think it would hurt,
but man, I don't think Valdez-Scantling is. I think Lazard is the number 2.
Really,
I do. I think he just had a lot of time off of injury last year, and he struggled stat-wise because of that. I mean, he missed like 7 games. That's half your season, essentially. I know it's 1 game less than half, but I think he's a really good receiver. I really do.
That $48 million still could have been spread out for, guys like Will Fuller or
Will Fuller. Now I will agree
Kenny
with you.
Golladay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now,
like guys like that is what is needed over there. Because I'll tell you right now, I'm not sold on Valdez-Scantling. I'm not sold on Lazard either. I'm not sold that either one of them are a good complement to what you have on the other side of the ball. Like I just don't. I mean, look, you've got probably the best receiver in the NFL. It's definitely arguable, but
Say it again, Combs.
Devontae Adams is a beast. I mean, he's if he's not number 1, I'm fine with people arguing it because I do believe DeAndre Hopkins makes a case. But Devontae Adams and DeAndre Hopkins, call them 1A, 1B if you want, but there's no argument those two are there. But on the other side of the ball, to have whether you have Lazard or you have Valdez-Scantling, you're not sold on a good core because you have
says clown. Buck is undefeated.
Yeah, how about you try showing up on the show? Maybe that'll make you undefeated, you clown. Anyway.
Get him.
Anyway, so, no, I think that Green Bay could have spent the money in better places, but they didn't. So that's what you got, and I don't know what their cap situation is. What's the cap situation like over there in Green Bay? You probably know better than I do.
It is not terrible. I believe we're pretty close to running out. That's something Tori would probably know better than me. I haven't paid attention much to the cap here recently, so that's something you're 100% right. I really should do better. I think Tori would know better than I do. I don't think it's terrible. I think we have a little bit of room to work with. The biggest thing, though, you mentioned things we need to do. Will Fuller would be awesome. I think Will Fuller would be a nice wide receiver 2 option. I think he's great, as long as he can stay off the peds. But the biggest thing that I got to say that we could do is a backup corner, because
Right.
You know my feelings on Kevin King. Everybody that watches this show knows my feelings on Kevin King. Not too
They
happy
haven't
with
released
Kevin.
him yet?
No.
Oh.
No. No, not
It's
at
good news for Bears fans. Anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Here,
so
with
you
the
guys get Aaron
restructure and all
Jones.
that, we're $1 million under the cap.
Yeah, see, that's not enough to go out and get what you need. So
it isn't.
at any rate,
Oh.
there was the other news that you had mentioned, and that was that Drew Brees retired. Now, Drew Brees retires, announces it on Instagram, 15 years to the day that he signed his contract with the New Orleans Saints, his first contract with the New Orleans Saints, I should say. So, I'm happy that he did it before the draft, because it puts the Saints in a good position to know what they have to
Absolutely.
do.
Absolutely.
However,
They did the wrong thing.
we speak about spending money in the wrong places. They go and sign Taysom Hill to a 4-year, $140 million deal. Why are you giving a prop player 4 years and $140 million? I don't get it, Wyatt. Like, I don't understand.
I don't. I really don't. But just kind of to flash what you said about Drew Brees, an incredible. I absolutely agree with you. I think it's awesome that he announced it before free agency, before the draft. That way, it gives them plenty of time to move around and do what they need to do. But what they did was terrible. Why would you ever sign a running back at quarterback for $140 million for 4 years? The only thing about this deal that I like, the one thing that I like, is that at any moment they can cut it loose. Now, what does that say? That says one thing. They don't believe in him as it is. They're like, hey, here's $140 million, but at any point, if we realize you suck, we're going to pull it away from you. Like, how as a quarterback does that make you confident? How as a team do you look confident when you do that? That literally shows their unconfidence in him in this move. That's all it says. When you are able to pull his contract at any moment, all that tells me, as a football fan watching your moves, all that tells me is that you don't believe in him either. What? Okay, so you're telling me that Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes got signed to deals, and at any moment the Kansas City Chiefs or the Green Bay can be like, we're going to pull our offer. No, they don't. That's not how this works. So all it does is show the lack of confidence that the Saints have with the move, that the Saints have with him at quarterback. Honestly, Combs, I'm going to have to go with a page out of your book here. I would rather have Jameis Winston at the helm at quarterback than Taysom Hill. Yes, Taysom Hill didn't lose a game last year at quarterback. Yes, I know that. Blah, blah, blah. I get it. But, keyword, the big thing, but, he didn't lose a game because he has a wizard at head coach in Sean Payton 1. 2, there isn't any film on this guy at quarterback. The only film he has is him blocking punts, returning kicks, running the ball, having option plays, not playing quarterback. This is not a running league anymore. This is a passing, pass-first league. Even the running quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson had to develop an arm or else he wasn't going to make it as a quarterback in the NFL. Every single quarterback has to do that. Kyler Murray had to develop a big arm for him to work in the NFL. That's just the way it is. It is a pass-first passing league. It is not a running league. So why are they signing, like you said, a prop, a guy that you can line up anywhere on the field and people are going to have eyes on? So at quarterback, for that much money, too, it makes absolutely no sense. I would pay Jameis Winston that money before I paid Taysom Hill that money. And you know I am not a believer in Jameis Winston whatsoever, and I know you are.
Because you're nuts.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't believe in a guy who throws for 5,000 yards and 33 touchdowns. So
30
what?
picks.
Okay.
That's what I don't believe in.
We have a Hall of Fame quarterback who came from your organization that made a career out of throwing more picks than anybody ever.
But it's totally different. It's totally different.
It's not totally different.
Yes, it is. The reason why he has that many
year.
The reason why he has more picks than anybody else is because he played for that long. Because he was a good quarterback. He made good decisions. He won a Super Bowl. Jameis Winston will never touch a Super Bowl trophy. Think about this. The Buccaneers won a Super Bowl once he left.
I will take that bet. I will take that bet.
How much?
They won a Super Bowl after he left because they signed Tom Brady. You shut your mouth right now.
What?
You stop right now.
Everywhere he goes, he does not work. Dude, Florida State couldn't win with him. After he went, he won all the regular season games in the world. That's great. Congratulations. You won all the regular season games in the world at Florida State. But what did he do whenever he got to the first ever college ball playoffs? He fumbled. He got tackled by a shadow. It was air.
He
air
needed
brought
to
him
be
down.
in a better situation with better play calling and better coaching. He didn't have the play calling, and you saw it in
Florida State was incredible that year.
Stop it. Florida State hasn't been incredible since 1998. You stop it and you watch your mouth.
They went undefeated, Combs.
They
were the best team in college football heading to the playoffs.
They were not best team in college football that year.
Lost.
They played in the ACC. Stop. Calm your nerves now. Anyway, my God.
I can't. I thought Buck said crazy stuff.
You give.
Now I'm hearing this. Jameis Winston's the best quarterback. And Florida State didn't have a good team when they went undefeated. I don't know. I don't know.
You give Taysom Hill 4 years and $140 million. I don't get it. Like,
I'll agree with you there.
You're telling me he goes undefeated. He goes undefeated. But I'm telling you right now that him going undefeated is the same argument I'll give you for the argument that you gave me as to why Belmont, didn't get slided in the NCAA tournament. He played the Ohio Valley Conference of the NFL in the weeks that he played and went undefeated. He played the Atlanta Falcons. He played, I think it was a Carolina, but he played the worst defenses in the world in those 4 weeks. And he played the Falcons twice.
No, there is no reason in the world why you should ever give Taysom Hill that amount of money. I don't care what team you are. Let's look at the worst teams in the league for quarterback situations, and I still wouldn't give Taysom Hill $140 million for 4 years.
I wouldn't. Even if you were paying him 4 years on $140 million to be your wide receiver / running back / gimmick guy, that still doesn't make sense. So, as a Saints fan, you've got to be sitting there thinking to yourself, oh my God, Taysom Hill is our freaking quarterback. Like, that's got to be the worst feeling in the world.
That's all this says. That says that Jameis Winston is going to hit the market, he's leaving, and Taysom Hill is your answer. Really? Yeah. You've got Drew Brees, Taysom Hill, and Jameis Winston, and of all three of those quarterbacks, the answer you give me is Taysom Hill?
All I can tell
Saints fans out there,
all I can tell Saints fans out there is I feel your pain. I've gone through Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles over the last 3. I feel
Jay Cutler,
your pain.
Come on now. You're missing like 10 names here. Come on.
You guys, I'm telling you, if there's anybody who knows about paying a quarterback money to not be a good quarterback, it's a Bears fan. It's a Bears fan. I'm telling you.
When you said, let me tell you how I feel about that. I was waiting for the ain't nobody got time for that to start playing.
So at any rate, speaking of the Bears, the Bears go out and give Mario Edwards a 3-year extension for $11.5 million. Defensive end.
Wrong defensive lineman.
Does this go out and tell you 110% that Akeem Hicks is definitely getting traded in some sort of trade, whether it's for a quarterback or whether it's for some draft capital to go ahead and trade up and get your guy in the draft? Does that, it's got to tell you Akeem Hicks is gone, right? You're not paying Edwards $11.5 million to come and back up somebody, and he's not taking over for Khalil Mack. Yeah.
So I wouldn't say 110%. But I would say 90. I'll give you that. I'll give you 90 to 95%. And once again, like I said a minute ago, wrong defensive lineman. You've got Khalil Mack. You've got Akeem Hicks. You've got Eddie Goldman sitting there, and that's the one you pay? That's the one you give the Bucks to? Are you really? Like it's a Saints move. That's what it is.
I don't know about giving him the money. It was $11.5 million spread out over 3 years.
Well, I'm not saying about the money. I'm just saying that's the one that you signed. That's what I meant. Like, that's the one that you come up with, of all those guys, and you're possibly going to send in, the rumors about Akeem Hicks now,
And
That's
you're
your answer?
downgrading. I mean, anything that you do.
Oh, you're
with-
100% downgrading.
I mean, it's a downgrade from Akeem
That's
Hicks.
huge.
I mean,
Akeem Hicks is the most underrated D lineman in the league
Yeah.
in my books. I think
He
Akeem
is.
Hicks is a monster. I think Akeem
when you
Hicks
come to
is a
Chicago,
top 10 defensive end.
Yeah, when you come to Chicago, you game plan for that left side of the line, which is Khalil Mack and Goldman. You game plan for that. You don't even but then all of a sudden Hicks comes out on the other side, and you're not.
And he
prepared
eats
for
your
it.
lunch. Absolutely.
Yeah.
As a Packers
So-
fan, I know that because Goldman's up in your face all the time. Khalil is always in your face. Khalil, until the day Khalil retires, Khalil could walk out there with a wheelchair and he'll still find a way to get to the quarterback. So those two guys will always be in your face. But the second you think you've handled that, all of a sudden Akeem Hicks is coming from the other side and he's up in your face. So it's like, I don't, and that we're back to the old situation of too much, way too much for Russell Wilson that they offered in that. And I think, like I said, I'm not giving you 110%. I'm not giving you an 100% answer, but I do think this gives you a 90% answer that Akeem Hicks is hitting the road. I think so.
Now
Especially,
that's
like I
the
said,
next question I have for you. Then is it to Seattle for Russell Wilson?
that, or I think. So either way, either team that the Bears have been talking to need a defensive end. So you've got Seattle, who just lost Carlos Dunlap. That was huge. He was their pass rush. Dumbest move I think I've seen all season. No, it's not. One of the dumbest moves. We've had a really bad offseason with these NFL GMs making really bad moves.
If they trade
The
Russell
second
Wilson
team-
and get Nick Foles in return, I mean, that's not. They're
Jesus
not
Christ.
going anywhere anyway, so they need more than a
Jesus.
defensive
So-
end.
Well, yeah, but that's a team that needs a D end. And then you also look at Houston. Houston just lost the face of Houston sports. Like screw the face of the franchise. Screw the face of the defense. Screw the face of the D line. This is the face of Houston. He was the guy who raised all that money for Hurricane Harvey and put together the movement for Houston. He was the guy who has been a part of Houston forever. And you saw the pain in JJ Watt's eyes when he was announcing that he wanted to leave. He didn't want to leave Houston. Well, he did, but he loves that place. He loved that place, and it's screwed him over so bad. So he had to leave, and now we're talking about Hicks going there. So you look at both teams need a defensive end. So I think I don't want to guarantee it'll be Seattle, but I do think that this means that Chicago's going to have a quarterback. And I know it's weird to say a defensive end is going to determine a quarterback here, but I think with that being said, all this coming into play. This tells us, I think, is that the Bears are going to come away with a quarterback in this deal within the next week. I think we're
real,
really
though,
nearing close.
The defensive end isn't what's getting you the quarterback. It's going to be the amount of picks that the defensive end is thrown in with.
Yes, of course.
That's what's getting
Absolutely.
you the quarterback.
And Nick Foles too, right? Is he such a great guy?
Nick Foles got to be part of the deal. That's inevitable. So it's going to be Nick Foles. Probably Akeem Hicks.
Nick Foles is the new age Josh McCown. That man is going to have a rainbow closet of jerseys when he retires in the league.
Here's my question then. For as a Green Bay Packer fan, so you can look at this objectively. I probably can't. What if you're giving up Akeem Hicks and Nick Foles is the throw-in in that trade for, let's say it's for Russell Wilson? How many draft picks are you giving it in what round? Like Akeem Hicks is a top.
I'm sorry.
Top
Say
10
that
defensive
question
end
again.
in the game.
Say that
If
question
you're
again.
giving up you're giving up Akeem Hicks, and you're throwing in Nick Foles, obviously. How many picks and what round are those picks going to be that you're giving up for Russell Wilson?
I thought you were asking about their deal, but then I thought you asked me personally. I understand you're asking me personally now. So that is a great question. For Russell Wilson, if I'm giving up Foles and Hicks, for Russell Wilson, I'll give you a first and a second rounder. If that is top. For Deshaun Watson though, a first and 2 seconds. No, 2 firsts and 1 second. I'll flip that. 2 firsts and 1 second. Plus those 2 players. I don't.
So we're not that far off then.
Nobody.
I mean, for Russell Wilson, if I'm giving you Akeem Hicks in the deal, I'm giving you the first. I'm giving you for Russell Wilson. I'm giving you a first and a second, and since you're taking Nick Foles, I'm going to throw in a third for next year. I'm going to give you an extra one just because you're taking Foles.
No, I'll tell you what. How about this? Foles for Watson, straight up.
And then if I'm,
that's what Buck would say.
And then if I'm doing, and then if I'm doing Watson, I'm going Hicks and Foles, and I'm giving you 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a third. Like that's where it's going. Like I'm giving you those 5 picks if I'm going for Deshaun Watson. So the Bears are going for all that. The Bears are doing, they go ahead and they sign Edwards, and the Packers are making deals for Aaron Jones for $48 million.
So the NFC North is so bad at making these big deals.
Well, that's where I'm going. Like I'm going to ask you right now, heading into the draft, is there anybody in this division? Say the Bears do get Russell Wilson. Let's throw that in there because that's probably what's going to happen.
If the Bears get Wilson, though, I don't think they have a first-round pick.
I know. But so who's the favorite in that? Like, is there anybody that can catch the Packers in this division? Because the Packers are the only ones that don't have to make a move and are still a 13-3, 12-4 type team.
I'll go with, I think the Bears will be good. Russell Wilson's one of those guys that, I know you're not incredibly high on him. I think Russell Wilson is the guy that gives you 6 wins. No matter what your team is, no matter who's there. Just as long as you've got one good wide receiver and a halfway decent defense, Russell Wilson can thrive. He is just a player, a good player. He's a heck of a ball player. So I'll give it that. But with that being said, Chicago would be good with him, but the biggest one I'm going to say here, Detroit's trash. Detroit is trashed out. They had something going for them. They were building. They built way too late. They wasted Matthew Stafford's career. They built way, way, way too late. But if anybody is going to catch them, it's going to be Minnesota. I think Minnesota is just one of those teams that every year, every time you play them, not every year, every time you play them, they're a threat. They're just a good team. Like, it doesn't matter what their record is. Minnesota can beat you at your house, at their house. Skull, baby. I hate to say that, but they're just a good team always, no matter what their record is. I think, what did they finish the year this year? 7-9, correct?
Yeah.
And they were one of the Packers' 3 losses, so they beat good teams, So
yeah, the Vikings on paper are definitely a team that they underperformed this year. I mean, let's just
absolutely,
that's what it is. They underperformed. I just don't know that they're as good as Green Bay. I could see them as a 10-6 or an 11-5 team.
Here's the way I see it next year. I see Green Bay being 13-3, or 12-4 at the worst. Maybe 11-5 if they have a hard schedule. I haven't taken a deep dive into the schedule. We'll see what the draft brings us. Green Bay is at that 13-3, 12-4 slot for me. After that, I think we have Minnesota is going to be around the 10-6 mark. I think Chicago rings in at about 9-7, and then I think Detroit is going to be god awful, dude. Like, I'm talking about
Well, Chicago's got a lot of ifs now.
4-12.
I will say Chicago's got a lot of ifs. Reportedly, Robinson's not going to sign the franchise tag, which I don't blame him. I wouldn't sign the franchise tag either. But if the Bears go out and do make this trade for Russell Wilson, they've got to go out and sign Allen Robinson. You go out and hey, look, you don't want that. But then you also got Darnell Mooney, who is a very valid number 2 heading into next season. I think that the Bears will be better than what you think that they'll be, just because that defense is still really good, even though you probably give up Akeem Hicks in that trade. I think that defense is still deep enough to make some noise. I just don't think that they're not. I mean, they're not Green Bay. They're more competitive with Minnesota than they are Green Bay.
I think I upset Tori. I said Skull. Tori. Like I said, I hate to say it. They're a good team, though. I know I didn't mean to, man. I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't want to say it. I hate Minnesota just like you. So I apologize.
You really did do everything except for the organization. Hands. Like you. All you needed to do was go like this.
I said skull, baby. I don't know what's wrong with me. I might be a little intoxicated or something. I'm not 100% sure.
Did you sneak into Mom and Dad's liquor cabinet tonight?
I might have. I don't know. After saying skull, you're 100% right. Tori, Green Bay Packers, Mark Murphy, Aaron Rodgers, the great Aaron Rodgers, I should say, Brett Favre and company, Ray Nitschke.
Nope, I'm not going to let you do it. You don't get to apologize. We are headed to a break, and we will be right back. And what is going on, Man Hour Nation? It is time for your favorite segment of the week. It is time for Way or No Way. And without Buck, we don't have the jingle for today, but we will get through that as well.
No
as
way.
We have over
Yes
the
way.
last 15 shows in a row without Buck. We've gotten past all the,
I know, man.
The lack of
It's
jingles.
basically
and
Wyatt
stuff,
and
but-
Combs Man Hour now.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. It's
I
the
love
Wyatt and
Buck,
Combs
but,
hour.
you know, it is. It's Wyatt and Combs Man Hour. That's
Here's
what
a
it is.
question I got posed to me today. Why do we call it the Man Hour if we're on for 2 hours?
Dude, I get asked that 24/7 because it's not because it's an hour. It's because like an hour doesn't have to mean 60 minutes.
yeah.
An hour can mean a set
Look,
amount of time.
The way I explain it, see, this is why you're showing your age now. This is the way I explain it. Because look, when I go out with my buddies, we call it, it's guys night out, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
If we say, hey, we're going out for a man hour, that means we'll be home around 1, 2 a.m., something like that. So that's how we roll here, and that's what it is. So let's get to Way or No Way. And Wyatt, we touched on this first one a little bit here. My first Way or No Way is Taysom Hill will be the next Saints quarterback.
Way. So it's a really tricky situation. It's like, do you mean like franchise quarterback or just like, he'll play quarterback for him? Because he'll play
He's their
quarterback
for this. He's the starting quarterback right now.
Yes. Sadly, yes. Way. It pains me to say it too, because we're watching the unfolding and, the destruction of New Orleans, of the Saints. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. So I love Taysom Hill, but he's not the Saints' answer at quarterback. He's really not. He's a great player. He's a diverse player. You can put him anywhere on the field and he'll play well. People love the guy because of watching the crazy highlights, like, seeing him block punts, seeing him run kick returns. I watched one game where he blocked a punt, had a touchdown run, and kicked a field goal or something, like just something nuts. I don't remember what the third one was, but all that in, oh man, Winker. So what's up, Sean? That's Winker's Wright's dad. Winker's a really good running back headed to Illinois State. But yeah, no, like I said, there's a perfect example. Hill, a lot of people love Hill. Hill is he's just a guy. Everybody loves
fun
that
to
player.
watch. He's a
fun
fighter.
to watch.
You never know what's going to happen when he's in the game. But he's not a starting quarterback, man.
No.
And he's not a 4-year, $140 million guy.
No.
Like, that's way too much money.
And if you watch his passes, like, when he gets the ball, every single touchdown pass you can watch here, When he gets the ball, people think he's going to run. They come right after him. They come after him hard and fast. So, of course, there's going to be a wide receiver open, 40 yards down the field when you've got 8 players running at the quarterback. So he chucks it. There was one throw I saw he had. I don't remember who they were playing, but he threw it like 40 yards down the field, and it was completely underthrown. The wide receiver had to stop, come back to the ball, and catch it. Then he fell down short of the end zone. So a good quarterback makes that throw. Patrick Mahomes puts it in his hand. A 4-year, $140 million quarterback makes that throw. Dak Prescott, I think Jameis Winston would possibly make that throw. There are a lot of quarterbacks that would just put that right on the money, but he doesn't have the arm to be an NFL quarterback. He's got the legs to scramble around and get rid of it. I just don't think he has the arm to do it.
He's a good gimmick guy. He's good out of the backfield. He's great for reverses. He's good for screens.
Yeah.
Like, that's the type of guy he is. He's a wildcat guy.
I think he's an option guy.
Yeah, he's for sure.
He's
not an every down quarterback, man.
Here's my comparison for him, and you react to this. You ready? He is Dak Prescott, but without the arm.
No.
How?
Because he's not as smart as Dak Prescott is. He doesn't read like Dak. Like that's not even. I thought you were going to say something.
I think his football smarts is what's kept him into the league this long.
You know what I think is the best comparison for Taysom Hill? Who? And this might be a little bit before your time, but it's Cordell Stewart. Cordell Stewart is a perfect comparison for Taysom Hill. A guy who should be a wide receiver or a running back, but they're putting him at quarterback because they have no other choice. Like, that is the option right now. Like, and not only that, but now you paid him, and you were talking about bringing back Jameis Winston. I mean, it was widely known you want Jameis Winston back in the Saints uniform. You're not going to be able to afford him.
No, not now.
No, not only that, you're not paying Hill $140 million to not be your quarterback. You're just not. That's quarterback money.
Yeah, did you see the ESPN did their simulator of free agents and stuff, and they did one for Jameis Winston, and they said he would end up with the Texans on a 2-year deal. You know how they do the simulator or whatever for everything.
Yeah.
I don't think that's wrong. I could see him ending up in Houston.
What anybody who wants to sign him needs to, God, I would love to. I really want to see Jameis Winston with the Bears. I really do. But anybody that signs him needs to sign him on a 3-year deal, but it needs to be incentive laden. We'll give you whatever it is. The first year is guaranteed money. The second and the third year is performance-based pay. That's what I would do with Jameis Winston, because you have to make sure that, like I say, that year of 30 interceptions is the aberration. I think about 12 to 13 is probably going to be his average and his normal throughout. And that was his average pretty much.
What is a normal throughout year, man?
Stop it.
5 picks in a game? That's bad. But not just, if you have 5 picks in a game
he
one
also
time.
had 7 games that year where he threw 1 or less. So you're talking about he had like 3 games. No, he had like 2 games all year where he didn't throw a pick. That's not good. He had 4 games where he didn't throw a pick and 3 where he threw 1.
I am going to look that up.
You go ahead and look that up. But there are 7 games where he threw 1 or less picks that year. I'm telling you right now, the kid can play ball. And I would love to see Jameis Winston with the Bears. As Tori Anderson says, I want to see Jameis with the Bears too.
Yes, me too.
Well,
I would love to see Jameis Winston.
Why? So Kevin King could lose out to Allen Robinson, and Jameis Winston could beat him deep.
No. I am if Jameis Winston is the player that I'll be playing against 2 weeks in a row, 2 weeks out of the year, I am perfectly fine with Kevin King being our quarterback or corner 1. Because Jameis sucks, dude. He's terrible.
Stop saying he sucks.
He is
not. You cannot be terrible and throw for 5,000 yards and 33 touchdowns.
I understand. You continue to mention that.
And you continue to mention the 30 interceptions.
Because
you're mentioning the bad part to
go
with your argument. I'm mentioning the good part to go with my argument. So you can't say there's nothing good. He was the only quarterback that year that threw for 5,000 yards and 33 touchdowns. He was the only quarterback that did it.
Lamar Jackson had more passing touchdowns than him that year,
but he did not have 5,000 yards.
Lamar Jackson doesn't throw all the time.
All right, so 5,000 plus yards plus 33 touchdowns.
33 touchdowns is not anything crazy. 5,000 yards, I'll give you that. That's a good number. That's a good number.
You calling him garbage is just like Buck calling Lamar Jackson garbage.
Oh, stop it. No,
Why?
it is not.
What do you mean it's not?
You cannot in your right mind continue to say Jameis Winston is this great player. Here's a great question. I'll tell you what. You want to compare people? Stop comparing him to Lamar. This is one right here. Who's better, Jameis Winston or Dwayne Haskins? Dwayne Haskins might even be better than Jameis Winston. Dwayne Haskins hasn't thrown 30 picks in a year.
He's also never thrown for more than 2,500 yards. Stop it.
I would take take Dwayne Haskins at the helm before I would take Jameis Winston, I think.
Well,
it's close.
That's fine.
That's a good question.
I mean, you're an idiot, but that's fine.
That is a good question.
I'll tell you what. Let's do this next year. Let's do this next year. You take Dwayne Haskins to lead your fantasy team. I'll take Jameis Winston to lead mine.
Totally different.
No, it's not. Why is that different?
Well, because Dwayne Haskins isn't going to play.
How about this? Why don't you finally get off the couch? Play me in a game of Madden and stop making excuses. You take Dwayne Haskins as your quarterback. I'll take Jameis Winston as mine.
You find one time where I made an excuse where I wouldn't play you in Madden. And
I can't.
give it to
my
me.
mom's hotspot won't work. Yeah.
I don't have PSN. I don't. I'll tell you what, Combs. You want to pay $5,000 to get the Wi-Fi company to run the Wi-Fi out here. Then you want to pay me $60 to get PSN. Then we'll play Madden.
How about I pay you $60 for gas and you just drive out here and play me on the PlayStation 5?
All right. I don't mind Chicago. How about we'll go to a Cubs game in the middle too? How about that? We'll pause the game and we'll go to a Cubs game and we'll come back and finish the game. How about that?
That sounds like a plan. Look, and Sean Wright is coming out there talking about Winston is great at throwing to the other team.
Sean is 100% correct. He is amazing at throwing to the other team. 30 times he did it. 30 times he did it.
All right,
and
you guys go
probably
ahead and say, I hope to God Jameis Winston goes to right organization. Because Houston's not the right organization. He's not going to succeed. Nobody's going to succeed in Houston. I don't even think the Bears are the right organization. Let's see Jameis Winston. I would love to see Jameis Winston stay with Sean Payton in the New Orleans Saints because I think that the New Orleans Saints next year, Jameis Winston will average 34 plus points with that New Orleans offense. Absolutely, 100%.
That's a little much, but I will say his best spot in the entire NFL is Sean Payton. Sean Payton is an offensive wizard. Sean Payton made Taysom Hill work at quarterback when he needed to. Sean Payton made Teddy Bridgewater work at quarterback. Nothing against Teddy Bridgewater. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a good quarterback. But he would make it work. Absolutely. But here's the deal. They clearly have chose Taysom Hill. So he's going to go somewhere like Houston where there's no wide receivers, where there's no offensive line, where there's a terrible head coach, where there's no defense. And he's going to win 4 games again. He's going to win 3 games again.
I'm going back to the 2019 season, and I'm going to watch every Jameis Winston interception because I want to write down, was it his fault? Was it a tip pass?
Well, you're every single one.
No.
If he throws a wide receiver and a wide receiver touches it with his finger and it was way overthrown, you're going to be like, well, the wide receiver touched it.
We'll watch it together. How about that? We'll get on here one of these times.
We got one
so we can go over it because I'm telling you right now that not 30 of those interceptions were on him. Some of those were him trying to make plays in the fourth quarter. Some of those were tip passes. So I'm going to say let's put 18 of them on him. Okay, so you got majority still.
No, stop it.
You think more than 18?
I think 25. I think 8 probably weren't his fault. Sure.
Okay.
I'll give him 8.
He only threw 30 interceptions. What are you talking about? 8 were his fault. You're saying 5.
5. Sorry. I was thinking of his 33 touchdowns. I take it back. So I'll even give him the benefit of the doubt on that. I'll say 23 were his fault.
Oh God! We didn't even get off of the first way or no way. Do you realize that? We're in way or no way, and we are still on the first question because we went on a tangent about Taysom Hill.
Way or no way, one quick answer, like a sentence answer. Go, we got this.
Bears signing Edwards verifies Akeem Hicks will be dealt this offseason. Way. NCAA needs to change its rule and allow its only women's undefeated team, it was California Christian, into the tourney.
Way
as well. And you ready?
Ready.
Belmont got hosed on Selection Sunday.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Belmont was a good team. I'll go with Way. I don't think Appalachian State should have made it. You brought that up. I didn't think about Appalachian State. I think Appalachian State and Utah State should not have made it. So I will say the two teams that should have made it was Louisville and Belmont. I will give it to you. I'll go Way. How about that?
Had to throw Louisville in there too, huh?
I had to throw my cards in there, man.
So we're going to get to a quick break, and when we come back, we are actually going to talk about the brackets. We're going to break down the bracket. We'll go through, what is it? What do they call it? Region by region, and we will break down the bracket, and we will talk about it when we come back. And welcome back to the Man Hour. It's your boy Brandon Combs with the Wyatt Williams. So Selection Sunday happened. We've already talked about it a little bit. Wyatt thinks that Louisville got hosed. I think Belmont got hosed.
I think Belmont got hosed.
So we've got a couple of regions here that are interesting to say the least. I think Gonzaga absolutely got the toughest bracket to run through as the number one seed.
Oh, definitely.
Which I think happens every year, though, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
So
that's why they always lose in the Elite Eight. I'm telling you, man. They lose in that region. They lose in the region finals. They're in the Elite Eight to advance to be the region champ and then play in a different region.
So they'll get the winner of Norfolk and Appalachian State. They'll
demolish.
Yeah, they've also got Oklahoma.
Those two teams combined couldn't beat them.
Oklahoma's in this region. Creighton's in this region. Virginia's in this region. USC's in this region. Kansas.
Wichita State and Drake.
Yeah, Wichita State and Drake. Oregon and VCU. Iowa. Like, this is a tough bracket to draw if you are the number one overall seed. Aren't you supposed to get the easiest ride?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think right out the gate, they play that Norfolk and Appalachian State. They'll demolish. But from then on, I think there's a potential they could lose. Oklahoma's a good team that plays in the Big 12, which is a tough division. We've seen Oklahoma have a lot of good wins this year. Then they'll most likely see Creighton after that. Creighton, a team that comes out of the Big East. Creighton is really good. A lot of people are sleeping on them. Creighton is a really good team. And if Creighton doesn't win, let's say Virginia does win that because Virginia plays Ohio. Ohio kind of got a short end of a stick too. I think Ohio is a good team, but they just play Virginia right out the gate, so I don't think they win that. But let's say Virginia does beat Creighton, they got to play Virginia. So it's like 6-1.5 dozen the other. Then just to get out of that, they'll have to play Kansas most likely after that. Worse at the very end though. Let's say they make it all the way to the Elite Eight. They have to face Iowa with Luka Garza. Man, that's tough. Like I told you, whenever we were talking about the bracket the other day, it doesn't matter if they're on opposite sides of the bracket. It doesn't matter if they're on the same side of the bracket. I don't think Chick-fil-A wins. I don't think that Iowa, or I don't think either way, Iowa and Gonzaga don't play each other. No matter what side of the bracket they're on, same side of the bracket, at some point, Iowa and Gonzaga in this tournament will face each other, and it will be a showcase. It will be a showdown. It will be something spectacular. I know they had a rough loss to Illinois in the conference tournament. That doesn't matter, though. They're starting to work out some of those issues defensively that they had. They're going to be ready come tournament time. It's going to be go time. And what is that? That's the West region, correct? We're talking, yes, West region.
Yeah.
It
so
is. Oh,
Sean
man,
Wright says, look, I don't think he's just messing with me because he sees all the Chicago stuff back here, but he's got Illinois losing in the first round of the 16 seed. I mean, look,
that would be tough.
Yeah, I don't think Illinois loses. I think Illinois, to be honest with you, and when it comes down to it, I'm a Notre Dame fan. Like I'm a Notre Dame fan. I'm not an Illini fan. I do follow Illinois because they're on all the time here in Chicago, but I'm a Notre Dame guy. I think Illinois is built for a long run in this tournament. A very long run in this tournament.
That's what I'm kind of reaching with Sean here. I'm not going to say they'll lose in the first round. I have them winning the first round, then I have them playing Loyola Chicago in the second game because I think Loyola wins that game between Loyola and Georgia Tech. So I think that Loyola moves on from there. But I think right after that, they got to play either Tennessee, who's a great team out of the SEC, or they got to play Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State, you know how I feel about them. I've talked about them a lot on this show. Oklahoma State is a team, dude. Oklahoma State is a heck of a team with that strong guard for him. Of course, I'm forgetting his name now that we're talking about him. But I think they lose to Oklahoma State in the Sweet 16.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, look, you got Oklahoma State's in that region. Like you said, Loyola Chicago, they're a very good team. Very underrated team as well. Tennessee, San Diego State, Syracuse, West Virginia, Clemson, Houston. I mean, this is another really tough region. And again, Illinois was your number 2 overall seed. So you got your 1 and your 2 overall seeds have the toughest roads probably in this entire thing. Now, you look over to the East now, and for me, this is where when I look at the bracket and I'm filling out my bracket, I've got a lot of upsets in this bracket. I think that Michigan is a favorite that'll win. LSU, St. Bonaventure. I never really considered the 9 over the 8 because I think they could go either way, but I still got LSU winning that one.
Cade Cunningham. I kept on wanting to say Kobe Covington, but that's a UFC fighter. I didn't want to be wrong. Yeah. Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham is a heck of a player, dude.
But we get into you got Georgetown, who I said last week, don't look, they could make a run. And then they draw Colorado. So I think Georgetown is a 12 seed that can watch it. And watch out for UNCG because Florida State is not playing great basketball right now. Yeah. So watch out for a 12 versus 13 seed matchup in the second round in that region. Then you got BYU versus the winner of Michigan State and UCLA. That could be an upset, even though I really like BYU. So I would probably pick BYU. Texas will probably win against Abilene Christian, but Maryland can absolutely beat UConn. As a matter of fact, UConn as a 10 seed is a very scary 10 seed. And then Alabama, Iona. Look, Iona, don't sleep on Iona. I like Alabama, but don't sleep on Iona.
Rick Pitino.
I mean, yeah, this team, I'm telling you right now, man.
Coach.
This could be the 15th
seed. Say what you want about Rick Pitino. Say what you want about Rick Pitino and everything. Everybody does. But at the end of the day, Rick Pitino, with the issues he's had, absolutely. But, man, Rick Pitino's a heck of a coach. He's done some shady stuff, of course, over time. Absolutely. But, man, I mean, this is his 5th team that he's brought to a final or brought to a tournament. He had Kentucky during all those great years. He had Louisville for all those great years. He won a national title with Louisville. Even though they stripped it away from Louisville, I will forever say they are the 2013 national title winner. Because that's bullcrap. I don't know how Lady of the Night can worsen your basketball skills. If anything, it can make your basketball skills better. If anything, it makes it worse. But So Sean Wright says Alabama beats Michigan in the final round of the East. Alabama, another really good team. We talked about, but so that first game we got Michigan. I don't think a 1 seed loses to a 16 all the tournament. So I got Michigan moving on. St. Bonaventure and LSU. That is a matchup a lot of people aren't looking at, but I think those two teams come into this incredibly even. I mean, I think this might be an overtime game, a buzzer beater game, some kind of a last second shot goes up. But man, it was tough. And LSU is a team that just almost beat Alabama, who is the 2 seed in this tournament. LSU is a really good team out of the SEC that nobody needs to sleep on. Florida State, though, I got Florida State going on. This is my kind of sleeper team of this division. I know they haven't been playing the greatest of basketball recently, but I think Florida State goes on to beat Michigan in the Sweet 16 round. I think it'll be Florida State and Alabama out of this, but I think BYU is another team that's a sleeper for this one. I think BYU wins their first game against Michigan State. I think Michigan State moves on. I know I talked a bunch about how great Michigan State is, but nonetheless, Michigan State has had their struggles, and I think BYU is just a really good team. BYU almost beat Gonzaga in their conference tournament in the championship round. They had them down by 11.5. Of course, Gonzaga came rolling back and ended up winning by like 15, I think. In their final, Gonzaga just had a bad first half. Nothing to really worry about there. But and BYU is just good teams. But BYU moves on there. Here's my other upsetter. I think BYU beats Texas in that second round, but I think Alabama silences them after that. Because man, Bama is they're just a good team, man. They're a very defensive centered team.
So I have BYU I have BYU in the Elite Eight. I have BYU versus Michigan in the Elite Eight.
Okay, I am in the Sweet 16. I'm one round behind you. I think BYU is one of those teams that can absolutely do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you look over, you head over to the South, and we've got Baylor as the 1 seed. They draw Hartford. You got North Carolina, Wisconsin. 2 very good teams. That's going to be a great game, man. That's going to be a great game. Villanova, Winthrop. There's another 12 seed that I think could really pull something off. Same with North Texas over Purdue.
No, I think Purdue is my 5 sleeper. I think so. They're my 4 seed sleeper. I think Purdue is an Elite 8 team.
Really?
A lot of people are sleeping on Ivy and all of them. Purdue is a heck of a team, man.
I just, I think that I think North Texas matches up with them really, really well. I think that their inside game is a little bit better than Purdue's. I think that they win. I think they could win a tough one. I don't think that they will win a tough one, but I think that they could. I think they're one of those teams you have to look out for. Texas Tech, Utah State, Texas Tech is so good. I mean,
Utah State shouldn't even be in it.
No, exactly. That was my next point. Utah State shouldn't even be in it. Arkansas, Colgate. I mean, that's an easy one for Arkansas.
Arkansas, Florida, a heck of a team, man.
Florida, Virginia Tech is going to be a good one.
I think so.
I think Virginia Tech could pull off the upset there.
They could pull off the upset. I think in my bracket, though, I have Florida winning that. But I think Virginia Tech, like you said, is a really good team out of the ACC that definitely could pull that away. But I think the next one go ahead, sir.
And then obviously Ohio State versus Oral Roberts. But easy. You said you have big something big to say about North Carolina, Wisconsin?
Yeah, I think the winner of North Carolina, Wisconsin knocks off Baylor in the very next game. I don't believe in Baylor at all. I think Baylor is playing really sloppy. I think Baylor is a team that always chokes in the playoffs. And I think Wisconsin is playing pretty good basketball right now. I mean, I know that they've had their rough spots over the season. I saw Torrey Anderson mention earlier they shouldn't even be in it. I gotta say, I don't think so. And he mentioned up here. Oh, I see it here. UNC will roll Wisconsin. Let me pull it up. This coming, someone who watched them all year. They lack killer instinct of offense, disappear for 5 or 6 minute stretches. I agree with you there. But man, North Carolina's been the same way though. You got to think about it. North Carolina hasn't disappeared necessarily for streaks. They've disappeared for games. North Carolina has disappeared for games on games. So if this is one of those games they disappear, Wisconsin could come away with it. But I think either way, the winner of North Carolina, Wisconsin
right now though.
They really are absolutely. But I think the winner of North Carolina, Wisconsin beats Baylor in the next one, as well as Villanova. I think Villanova, literally, I'm not kidding you, dude. I think they barely 1 point scratch over Winthrop because they're missing Gillespie. They have not been anything since they haven't had Gillespie. You know, they didn't even win their conference tournament. Georgetown beat them and knocked them off. So Georgetown, another team, we'll mention that here in a little bit, of a sleeper team. But we see Buck there saying, "Hey guys, guess what? Hey guys, dudes."
What is going
I don't
on?
know.
What's going on in the chat, Buck?
But
All right, so
I think Villanova does move on in that first game barely, but I think Purdue knocks them off quick. After that, you know, we talked about Texas Tech should throttle Utah State. Arkansas should win. I think Florida and Virginia Tech's a tight one, but I think Ohio State rolls Oral Roberts 20, 30-point game.
Yeah. So I've got who's your biggest? So you said Purdue's your biggest sleeper. I think that this is probably the most.
Well, I don't think Purdue's
seen
probably
an
my biggest
NCAA
sleeper.
Well,
I think my biggest. We'll talk about my biggest sleepers in the next set of brackets.
Yeah. So we've got I think we've got the most parity we've ever seen in the NCAA tournament. So we've got a few more minutes here. Let's talk about who is your lowest seed to go the furthest.
Real quick, I want to answer this. Chuck vs. Karma, that's my parents. Well, Sean, my mom, for sure. She is very feisty. My dad is a
the woman always wins.
So
yeah, the woman always wins, man.
There's that one. But my lowest seed to go the farthest, I got a 4 seed in my final.
In your final four?
In my final game.
You got a 4 seed in your final.
I don't want to spoil it. They're in the next set of brackets though. So let's move on to the Midwest here. Oh, we haven't done the Midwest.
Yeah,
have we done the Midwest?
Yeah, that was the second one we went through. Because
I've just been asleep then.
Yeah,
no, we didn't. That's one with Illinois and stuff.
Because Sean told me that Illinois. God, you're
sleeping.
Oh
yeah. Never mind. Okay, yeah. So my sleeper then, Oklahoma State. I got Oklahoma State in the finals against Iowa. I've got
Oklahoma losing in the Elite Eight to Illinois.
That's tough. I think I got Illinois. Where do I have them losing? I have them losing to Oklahoma State.
It'd have to be Oklahoma State, yeah.
Yeah, I'm losing to Oklahoma State there. I have Illinois losing to Oklahoma State. Here's my other one that I have. If you want to consider this far in my Sweet 16, I have here's just the team rankings. I'll name them: 1-5, 3-2, 1-4, 6-2, 5-4 or 9-4. Excuse me, 3-2, 1-4, 6-2. I got San Diego State's another big one for me. That I have a big sleeper, as well as the Wisconsin and North Carolina winner. I think they go on to win their second game as well over Baylor.
As much parity as I say that there is, my Final Four consists of 3 1s and a 2. I have 3 Big Ten teams in there, and I've got Gonzaga in there as well. So I've got Illinois, Michigan, and Ohio State in my Final Four. But in the Elite Eight, I've got Winthrop in the Elite Eight.
That's not a bad pick, honestly. There's always a 12 seed that goes far. This year, yep. I think I kind of steered away from that in my bracket. Like my Elite Eight is 1-2, 4-2, 4-2, and 4-2. So I got a lot of 4s and 2s making my Elite Eight.
My Elite Eight is 1 versus 2, 1 versus 10, because I also have Maryland in my Elite Eight.
Okay. Maryland's another good team out of the Big Ten.
I have Maryland going through. I have them beating Alabama and then beating BYU. I have BYU upsetting Texas in the second round. And then in the Sweet 16, I have Maryland beating BYU and then ultimately losing to Michigan in the Elite Eight. And I also agreed with you. I had North Carolina. What are you laughing about here? I had James wants to play basketball.
Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Sean. That was awesome, man. Sorry, I didn't go ahead, buddy. I wasn't cutting you off.
I agreed with you, though. I had North Carolina beating Baylor in the second round. I have North Carolina winning and going on to the Sweet 16 and then losing to Winthrop in the Sweet 16. I really like this Winthrop team, man.
They're a team that absolutely could do it. My 5, you've always got to have a 5-12 upset, man. It is a part of NCAA basketball.
I've got a couple of them.
Let me find here my 5-12. I believe I had 2. I had either 1 or 2. I know that.
I have Georgetown in the Sweet 16, and I've also got UNC Greensboro beating Florida State. So I've got a 12-13 in the East.
I gotta find my 5-12 here. It is.
You've only got one 5-12?
Yes. Georgetown beating Colorado. I think Georgetown and Colorado. I think the East has the most parity of it. I think the East, the winner of the East, is going to be a 2 seed, but I think that Final Four of the East is going to be Michigan, Florida State, BYU, and Bama, and I think Florida State beats Michigan there. As well as my 8 teams left. My round of 32 for the East looks like this: 1 Michigan, 9 St. Bonaventure, 12 Georgetown, 4 Florida State, 6 BYU, 3 Texas, 10 Maryland, and 2 Bama. I have Bama moving on. I have 6 BYU moving on. I have 4 Florida State moving on, and 1 Michigan. Then I have 4 Florida State beating 1 Michigan, and then I have 2 Alabama beating 6 BYU. But I think Bama barely gets by on that one, and then I think the luck for Florida State will run out after that, and I think Alabama claims the title on that one. But it's just tough.
You've got Alabama winning the entire tournament, huh?
No, I got Alabama winning the East and heading to the Final Four.
Okay.
Sorry, I phrased that wrong, but I have Bama beating Florida State to head to the Final Four.
Yeah, see, I don't think I have Florida State losing in the first round of UNC Greensboro.
I don't have one seed in my Final Four.
One of our brackets is getting busted in the first round. One of our brackets is getting blown up.
Absolutely. But yeah, my Final Four is 2 Iowa versus 2 Alabama, and then 2 Ohio State versus 2 Oklahoma State. I think Ohio State is a really good team that has been really heavily slept on throughout the tournament. They had a bad first half today against Illinois. We all saw that. On Sunday. If they would have beat Illinois, I think if they had had a better first half. Yeah, if they would have played better against Illinois in the first half.
I'm confused.
Sorry. I'm moving 1,000 miles a minute in my head. If Ohio State would have played better in the first half, specifically the first half of the first half, they definitely would have come away with that big win over Illinois. I think Illinois kind of wet the bed there at the end of the second half, and then at the end of the second half as well. They should have never allowed Ohio State back into it for how bad they were shooting, but Ohio State powered through it and found their way to send it to overtime. Still lost nonetheless. But I think Ohio State's a heavily slept-on team right now out of the Big Ten. So they've been a team that we've seen in the top 4.
So you've got Ohio State versus who in the Final Four?
Oklahoma State. And I got number 2 Iowa versus number 2 Alabama. I got number 2 Iowa winning over number 2 Alabama because Luka Garza is the best player in college basketball. I think he's incredible. Then we've got number 2 Ohio State, number 4 Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State does knock off Ohio State right there. And then in my final, I've got number 2 Iowa and number 4 Oklahoma State. I think we're going to have the 2 best players in college basketball going up against each other here in Luka Garza and Cade Cunningham. I think they're just incredible players, and I got Iowa winning that one 78-71.
So you got Iowa winning it all.
Yep.
Wow.
Absolutely. I do.
All right.
And it's only because they play Gonzaga. If Gonzaga makes it to the final, if they were on opposite sides of the bracket, I would have Gonzaga and Iowa in it at the final. But because they're on the same side, I think Iowa clean sweeps the rest of the way through. I think the national championship is decided in the Gonzaga and Iowa game. Whoever wins that, I think, goes on to win the title.
So
in the Elite Eight,
in the Elite Eight, I've got Gonzaga versus Iowa, and I have Gonzaga winning that one. I have Ohio State versus Winthrop, and I've got Ohio State winning that one. I've got Illinois versus West Virginia, and Illinois winning that. And then I got Michigan versus Maryland, with Michigan winning that one. So I've got Gonzaga, Michigan in the Final Four. I've got Gonzaga heading on to the final in that one. And I've got Illinois versus Ohio State, and Illinois heading on in that one. And then I've got Illinois beating Gonzaga, handing Gonzaga their first loss of the season in the national championship game. And I've got it a close one. I got an 82-81 for the tiebreaker for the final score. So that's where I'm going with it. I got Illinois winning the entire thing. I think Illinois is so good.
Well, the big thing about Illinois
today. I think they proved it today. I think you're right. I think they lost a little bit there, but it's just one of those things where Illinois is just. I mean, they're just so deep and they're so good. I really like this Illinois team. I think that they go ahead and they win. As Sean Wright says, my wife makes her picks based on which mascot could win in a death match. That is amazing.
My dad used to work with this lady who would like name a finger on a team and then smack it on the table, and whichever one hurt worse, she had advancing on. So that's how she used to decide her bracket, which is awesome. So
I think that's how Bucks decides his takes. When
I
he's
think
on
so.
the show.
He's like, let's see here. Lamar Jackson is trash. Or
I also think that's how Buck
Peyton
decides
Manning
whether or not
is
he's
the GOAT.
actually going to show up for the show.
Exactly. It's like, yes or no.
He's like, neither one of them hurt, so I'm not going tonight.
No, or he's like, show up or don't show up. Bam, and then tap. He's like, not showing up. I guess
No, what happens is he goes to bang him, and then Cindy slaps him in the back of the head and says, "You ain't going tonight." That's how it really goes. Let's be honest. Oh,
Ooh, yeah,
Hey.
I saw it too. Is that what it is? Oh, we did it at the same time.
For our bracket,
No.
how confident are you, Buck?
What do you
Are
mean for our
Wyatt?
bracket? You lose a hat or I shave my head? There's no middle to a road there.
We'll go with the most points. How about
No.
how about this?
I'm
How
not
about this?
I'm the only one who loses. I'm the
Hold
only one
on,
who
hold
loses
on.
in this.
No, you're not. Watch. How about your hair, or
No.
I wear a Green Bay Packers hat for
No.
the rest of the year?
No.
God.
Way too much at stake here, man. I'm telling you right now, you are never. If it was my hair or $1 million, I would maybe do it. Maybe.
How about-
I can't.
How
Hey,
about-
here. I have all the confidence in the world.
No, you
but
don't.
It's because it's
If
right
you
here.
did, you would put your
all
hair.
the confidence,
Like,
all the everything comes
you
from
ain't
that right
Samson.
there.
Like, it doesn't matter about your damn hair.
M. Samson, baby. His hair carries me.
Oh man,
Some luscious locks.
You better go to church. You better go back to church.
You
It is Sunday, and you are man. Your mama and your grandma are gonna whoop your butt when you get downstairs. So Wyatt's got to go ahead and take off, and he's got to go get beat down by his family members as they watch him on some. What's going on tonight, Wyatt? What do you got going on?
So I am going to be on one of the local stations here in the Louisville area, but it's already pre-recorded. Of course, I'm not racing over there.
Nobody wants to see that.
No,
Sean Wright
not
says
at all.
Wyatt
Not at
shaves
all.
his
That's
one
a
side of his
lose-
hair.
that is a lose-lose
versus
situation.
Brandon goes shirtless in 1 month of episodes. Nobody wants
Loser
to see
goes
any of
shirtless
that.
for an episode.
Nobody wants to see any of that.
Yeah, but I'm in a package that a news station did for my school and about our program. We have the best radio TV program in the state. They did a package on us and stuff, and I'm involved in it. So yeah, so we're the whole family came over tonight, and then we're all watching it together. So it's pretty cool. It's a little like 3-minute segment, but it's at 10 o'clock. So
Wyatt, so the whole fan. You're okay. Hold up. You're leaving us because your whole family's come over to watch you on a news segment on TV?
yeah,
They do realize that you can go onto any smart TV and throw on YouTube, and they can watch you on TV every day.
They do.
Sunday through Thursday. So
they do.
I'm confused. All right,
They're always
so we're
here,
going to
man.
go ahead and say goodbye to Wyatt, and we will be back with some baseball talk with Hoffy. So Wyatt, we will see you out of here. We will send you out of here, and we will see you tomorrow, sir. And we will be
See
back
you tomorrow,
in 2
Sean. It
minutes.
is 41 WDRB. We'll see
Bye.
you, gentlemen. I'll see you.
And welcome back to the Man Hour. Look, we have been without Buck for I don't know, it seems like about 3 months now. He only likes to join the show in the chat. I don't know what is going on, but he's just a chat hog now. And Wyatt had to leave me. So I have called in some reinforcements. I have called up the baseball lackey himself, Hoffy, to the show. Hoffy, what is going on, buddy?
Hey, bringing in the closer. What's up? How we doing?
Absolutely. What? How was your weekend, bud?
I can't complain. Those fights on Saturday night were little hit and miss here and there. The main event kind of stunk, but it's been an all right weekend.
I missed them last night. I was spending some time with Michelle and with Aubrey this weekend, so I missed them myself. But I did hear some good things. I heard we had another disqualification too, right?
We had a disqualification, and then we had the main event end in a little Captain Insano eye poke.
Really?
Yeah, it was just after the first round, and Leon Edwards had was definitely had won round one, but he came with a combo, a jab and a straight, and
how bad was the eye poke?
Oh, he dropped and started crying. Immediately his eye had a cyst underneath it.
Really?
Probably a torn retina, they were saying.
Oh my God.
So, it was bad.
That's
the ref,
brutal.
Or not the ref, excuse me. The doctor stepped in right away and said no, and the fighter was not happy about it at all.
Wow, that is crazy. So what was he? Because sometimes you see them because they got the gloves on. So sometimes they go to throw a punch and they put that one hand out there, and that's what does it. Is that what happened there?
Yeah. He came as he went to throw that punch. You kind of throw. Start with your hand and you close it, and the guy's face kind of came in. So before he could close and finish with the follow through.
That's a brutal way to lose, man. Brutal way to lose, but. All right, so we are here to talk some baseball, man. We are about halfway through spring training now. I am very happy as a Cubs fan. I've been watching a lot of Cubs games. Jock Peterson looks like he is getting very, very comfortable with the Cubs and in that lineup. And he is just, he's hitting at like a 590 clip right now in spring training. And I don't always take into account, what these guys do on a number standpoint. But when a Jock Peterson comes over who's never hit for a very high average, you want to see him swinging the bat well and having good at-bats, and that's exactly what he's doing. So, as a Cubs fan, should I be excited about Jock Peterson?
Absolutely. I've always liked Jock. I feel that he struggles because he doesn't get a whole year's worth of at-bats. He's a platoon kind of player, and that Dodgers outfield was stacked. When he first came in, you had Matt Kemp, you had, all those players, then you bring in Mookie Betts last year. I was excited when he signed with your Cubs, and I think that's going to be a huge factor because, you have your shortstop Baez, who I know you're huge on. He struggled last year. I think this is his last year, contract year. Same with Bryant. So, those two guys are going to be, looking to bounce back. You got a hell of a first baseman in Rizzo. You add Jock Peterson in there. Your starting pitching staff is, behind Kendricks is where you got your question marks. But if that team can hit the way, on paper, it looks like they're going to, you guys are going to, I do have them winning the Central for sure.
Yeah. So I was talking about this a little bit. For those of you who don't know, I do a baseball show on the Notoriety Sports Network, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier today. I really feel like because the Cubs win by what is that prospectus, baseball prospectus, they have the Cubs at 79.5 wins. And I think that's crazy low. Like I think that they're going to win at least 87, 88, somewhere in that ballpark. 79.5 wins. They even have the Reds at 82.5, and that's insane to me. Like I think that they're going to be lucky to win 71, 72 games. I think that the Cubs I think they're better than what people think. That lineup is definitely better than what people are giving them credit for. And that pitching staff, yes, I get that they lost 4 out of their 5 starters, but you still bring back Kyle Hendricks. You did add Zach Davies when you lost Yu Darvish, and you also brought back Jake Arrieta on a no-lose situation deal, mind you, and he's coming back with something to prove, and I like a Jake Arrieta with a chip on his shoulder. So I really feel like the Cubs in the NL Central are really the team to beat right now. But I don't even think that the Cardinals are second. I think it's the Brewers.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Brewers as well. The the offense behind their star and Yelich is going to be where the question marks are. But yeah, I mean, I think the shortstop losing, or not the shortstop, excuse me, the Cardinals losing their second baseman in Wong and him going over to the Brewers, I think that's going to be a huge factor for that, that Cardinals team, because their shortstop already struggles. And being a shortstop myself, your middle infielder is your best friend. And is he going to be at that second base position for those double plays, et cetera? So I think you're going to find a lot of issues with that Cardinals team. And I do agree that the Brewers will be second place. And again, the Cubs being in that division, you're playing the Reds, you're playing the Pirates. I think, like you said, that's an awful low win total for a team that's probably going to beat up on their division.
So let's go that route with it then. Let's go in the division. Let's go through the Baseball Prospectus win totals. And we've got the St. Louis Cardinals at 86.5 winning the division. Over under for 86.5.
I think it's going to be really close right there, but I think they're going to be under that. I think they're, the 82, 84 range for them. I think, the Cubs will be at the 86, 88 range.
That's where I think 500 for the Cardinals is about right. 81 and 81 or 82 and 80, somewhere in that ballpark for the St. Louis Cardinals. They just don't have enough pitching for me, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. And then you look over at their lineup. Yes, they did add Nolan Arenado, but again, I've talked at length about how he is as a hitter outside of Colorado. So I just think that I think that the Cardinals are going to lack scoring runs for a pitching staff that is already not very good. So I think 80, 81, 82, somewhere in there for them. Then you have the Cincinnati Reds at 82.5. Over, under.
What was the number again? Sorry?
82.5.
Under. I think they're gonna struggle. The Pirates and Reds, they're lucky if they, both of them are lucky if they win 70, I think.
Yeah, see, I think the Pirates are going to lose close to 100. I think the Reds are probably a 72 and 90 team. I think that's I think that's overperforming for them, to be honest with you. I think they're not a very good team. They're not very solid. I don't see where people are seeing 82.5 wins for this team. Milwaukee Brewers 82.5 as well.
I think that's where, 81, 82 range is going to be the Cardinals. So, no, I think we got to go 83, 84 because I think they're going to, sneak out that second place by a win or two. I mean, the defense with Lorenzo Cain, Jackie Bradley Jr., Wong, who I already spoke on. I mean, they're going to have one of the best, outfields. Their pitching staff is unbelievable. And their manager, Craig Counsell, is probably one of the best when it comes to managing a pitching staff. So I think they're going to compete with the Cubs, but I think the Cubs will, end up winning this one.
I've got the Brewers at about the 84 to 86 range. So that's where I've got them. And then they got the Cubs at 79.5. I've got the Cubs at about 88, 89 wins. Where do you got them?
Yeah, that's right where I got them. 88, 89. And I could even see them getting into the 90s if, like we said, Baez, Arrieta has a good year, Rizzo, and Bryant all have a bounce back season with Jock Peterson staying hot.
And then we come over to the comments section. It looks like Torrey Anderson is dipping into the liquor cabinet. He's got the Brewers with 92 wins and the Cubs with 83. I think you're a little bit high on your hometown team there.
You got to hit in order to win.
They do, and not only that, but they are to me the same boat as the Cardinals, but I think they have a better offense than the Cardinals. But the problem with them is going to be they're going to score runs, but they're not going to have a very easy time stopping the opposition from scoring runs. So this is going to come down to, I think this division comes down to the season series between the Brewers and Cubs. And I just think the Cubs are far better than the Brewers are right now. So that's where I think that one comes down to. So let's. I think
where the Cubs have the advantage, huge in the offense, the Brewers, vice versa. So it comes down to, like you said, those games, just who's going to nullify who.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's head over to the AL Central. This is another one where I think that these numbers are all whacked out to me. So they've got the White Sox as the best team in that division at 91.5. That's a good number for the White Sox, I think. Where do you got that?
That's a good number, yeah, absolutely. The question mark, again, is going to be La Russa and what he does with that team, how he manages that staff. But, yeah, I think the 88 to 92 is where they're going to be.
Yeah. So I'm right there, too. I think I have them at about 88 wins. I think it's going to take them out of the gate a little bit of time for that La Russa dynamic to really set in with these young players.
I agree.
A lot of these players, from what they're saying, of course, they're being politically correct when they say it. I mean, they're not going to come out and say, no, I don't like this guy. But they're buying into what La Russa's selling. They're talking about, playing for a guy like this is amazing and all this other good stuff. So I think 88 wins will be where I still think they win the division, but I think 88 wins is about where they have them. The Twins, I feel like they have a little bit high, 88.5. Where do you have the Twins?
I think that's low. I think they're actually going to be around 92, 94. They're going to squeak out the division by a game or two. You got Jose Barrios. He's going to be your starting pitcher.
Yep.
On opening day, you got Kenta Maeda, who's probably going to be their best pitcher, and he's their number 2. Pineda, as long as he keeps, I think it's the pine tar off the hat. Lefty J.A. Happ. I mean, they have a top 10 pitching staff on paper and by the numbers, whereas the White Sox, they got a top 10 pitching staff on paper, but not the numbers to back it up.
It's their bullpen for me where I have problems with them, and it's a bullpen driven game now, right? I mean, because your starters don't go more than 5 or 6 innings anymore.
Yeah, but they added Gold Glove and Simmons, to shore up their defense.
Yep.
Donaldson's a pretty good third baseman, I think their defense is going to help out that the bullpen.
Yeah, so I actually have them a little bit lower. I have them at about 86 wins. I think the White Sox win this division again, another close division, but I think these are the only 2 teams in that division. So I've got them at 86. Then we have the Cleveland Indians at 81.5. Over under.
I'm going to go with under.
Me too.
I think a lot of people are too high on this Indian staff. They're gonna have a pitching staff, but I don't even really call it a pitching staff. So I actually think I got to be careful. Buck's been picking on me all day, so I don't want to make him feel too good about himself. But I think his Royals come in third place in front of the Indians.
I actually agree with you. I think that the Royals, who, I have the Indians under as well. I got them about 74, 75 wins. They have the Kansas City Royals at 72.5. I'm going over with that, and I'm going way over. I'm going at about 82 for the Kansas City Royals. I think that they'll have a really good season. I think they've got a young up-and-coming team. They've got a lot of depth in the minor league system. And so I really like what the Kansas City Royals are doing. I love the addition of Andrew Benintendi. And so I've got the Royals at 82.5. So at 82. I'm sorry. So I'm going over there.
Yeah, I think this is a contract year for Salvador Perez. He had 11 home runs last year, 12 doubles in 37 games. Their first baseman Santana only hit 199, but he led the league in walks with like 47 walks. And then again, you add in Benintendi. Nick Lopez is a Gold Glove finalist. Hunter Dozier, he had a rough season last year, but he started late due to COVID. But he's going to bounce back. And Mondesi, their shortstop, he his last 100 plate appearances hit 356, 6 home runs, 20 RBIs in that month of September. Took him a little bit to bounce back from his 2009 surgery, but I think he's going to continue. And then again, their outfield, Taylor, Merrifield, and Benintendi is going to be one of the best. Them and the Brewers are going to have probably one of the best outfields defensively.
And then we've got the Detroit Tigers at 68.5. You going over or under?
I'm going to go under.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a rough. I think they're going to play a lot of their young players. Them and the Mariners, they got a lot of good young players. I think the Mariners leave them down in the system. I don't think the Tigers have much of a choice but to play them. So I think this is going to be a rough year for their young guys. But it might pay dividends. Next year or the year after that.
Yeah, so I actually think that they are going to contend with the 1899 Cleveland Spiders, the 1962 Mets, and the Detroit Tigers of 2003 for the most losses in a season. The most losses in a season is by the Cleveland Spiders with 134. Back at a time where I believe that they only played 141 games in a season, so that's really bad. The Mets in 1962 lost 120, and the Detroit Tigers in 2003 lost 119. The Detroit Tigers, I think, are going to find themselves on this list twice. They are so bad.
They finished 397 win percentage last year. So yeah, I don't expect much more than that. So that's 1 out of every 3. So yeah, you're right on par with like a 50 win season.
Yeah, and Timothy Leonard chimes in and has White Sox 91, Twins 87, Indians 81. I think that's high for the Indians. They're not good.
Where's he going with the Royals?
Lindor, and they lost Carrasco. He had the Royals. Let's see what he's got. The Royals at 73.
Oof,
I think that's really low, man.
that's really low.
So
I don't think they'll be in the playoffs or anything, but I definitely think that they're gonna be fun to watch this year.
I agree. So let's head over to a division I think is actually going to be probably the best in baseball. And let's go over to the NL East. The NL East, we've got let's start with the Atlanta Braves, 91.5.
Oof, I don't want to piss Leonard off, but I think because this division is so talented top to bottom. I mean, you have the Braves, you have the Mets, I wasn't high on the Phillies, but I mean, if Bryce Harper is Bryce Harper and they get, what they get from that team, they're going to compete as well. So I
don't
think
sleep on the Nationals.
Yeah, the Nationals too, exactly. Like I said, top to bottom. So I think all of these teams, though they're going to be good, are going to be in like the mid 80 range. Whoever wins this division is going to probably win with 88 wins. So I'm going to go with the Braves at 88 wins.
I agree, because I think this division is going to beat the crap out of one another.
Exactly.
I really do. I think you're going to have a lot of these 18 to 19 game series where you see a lot of,
10 and 9.
A lot of 10 and 9,
records.
a lot of 11 and 8, that type of stuff. So I'm going to go over, but I'm going to go slightly. I'm just going at 92. The over-under is 91.5. I'm going to give the Braves 92 wins just because that offense is so good. That pitching staff
absolutely.
is very underrated. So I'm going with 92 there. The Mets at 90.5. Where are you going?
I'm going at 85. I think they're going to finish two games or so right, behind the Braves. I got the Braves winning this until we, see the first week of games, first 2 weeks of games. I'm sticking it out with the Braves as my division winner here.
I'm going over. I'm going 94 with the Mets. I think that they win this division. I think that this pitching staff is quietly the best pitching staff. Now, that is very dependent on Carlos Carrasco's health. We've already heard that he's having elbow discomfort. It's very dependent on his health. I think Carlos Carrasco was the steal of the offseason. I think that they snuck in, they got Lindor, and they got Cleveland to throw in Carlos Carrasco. Mm-hmm. I think that, for me, that was the better get than Trevor Bauer was for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So I really like this Mets team. I have them at 94 wins, and I think that they beat the Braves in the season series, and I think that that's ultimately what decides that division. So we went with the Braves and the Mets. Let's go with the Washington Nationals, sitting at 84.5.
Yeah, I think that's 84, 82. I think that's where they're going to be. Absolutely. Again, it's going to be a tough division. A lot of 10 and 9 records against all 4 of these teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over, but again, just slightly over. I'm going with 85 here. I think that the Washington Nationals are still the. So we talk a lot about 2020, and I think that a lot of people like Trevor Bauer were a product of 2020 because they didn't have enough time for their numbers to be what they should have been, so they looked better than what they were. I think the Nationals were a victim of 2020. I think them, along with the Anaheim Angels, started out very slow, and then they started to get hot, and just when they got hot, the season ended. So I think that the Nationals are going to be a little bit better than what people think. I think 85 wins is about right for this team. And the Philadelphia Phillies are sitting at 80.5, over under.
I'm going to go over. I think 81, 80, 81, 82. They're going to be, them and the Nationals, I think they're going to compete for that third spot. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see either one of them against either the Braves or the Mets in the wild card game. So we could potentially see, three NL East teams in the start of the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to go over as well. I'm going to say 83, something like that, just like what you're thinking. I think that they are a very solid team. I'm not a big believer in Bryce Harper as a leader. I'm not a big believer in Bryce Harper as your highest paid player. I'm not a big believer that he is a guy that can get you to the places that you need to be. I believe that once you get rid of Bryce Harper, that's when you start to win. Ask the Washington Nationals. So I'm going with 83 with them, but that's hoping that they have a good year and hoping that this is the best division like I think it's going to be.
I think Bryce is going to have a big year.
It'll be interesting to see. Like he's got the abilities to do it. You know what I mean? Like, but he's just like Trevor Bauer, 9 years in the league. He's had 2 really productive seasons.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you saw his comment the other day about, I'm not a college grad. I got my GED. I don't pay attention to stats. I mean,
yeah,
you kind of got to watch videos. You kind of got to pay attention to where you know. I mean. But,
and I agree. I haven't seen it enough from him yet to believe him. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Is you just.
Yeah.
I'm just not a big believer in the guy. You go over to the AL East now. New York Yankees at 95.5.
Are we skipping over the Marlins? Are we going with 0 wins on them? Because that's where I was going with that.
I'm sorry. I forgot all about the Marlins, to be honest with you, which is easy to do because the Marlins.
These 4 teams are going to beat up on them.
Yeah, I think that the Marlins were another benefactor of a 60-game season. They're sitting at 70.5.
No, I think it's below that. I mean, we saw it last year. They really fell off towards the end. So I think they're going to be around like 69, 70.
Well, I'm a Cubs fan, so I didn't see it. I didn't see them fall off at all. I saw them bounce my Cubs out of the playoffs. but I'm going to go over.
Season, though.
I'm going to go over. I'm going to say 72 wins for this team. Still going to lose 90 games, but I really think that the Marlins, look, I get that they had a decent run last year. They also rallied behind something that I had never seen before. I mean, they played 37 games in the last, I think it was 34 days or 33 days, something crazy. And where most teams would have just collapsed, and rightfully so, you would have saw them go down and you'd have been like, yeah, well, that makes sense. They actually use that to their benefit. And I don't think you're going to have that this year. You're not going to have teams sitting out for 2 weeks. You're not going to have, you might have there might be a positive test here and there, but we're dealing with everything differently now. So I don't think, I do like their pitching staff. I do like the young arms that they have on this rotation. They just don't have enough offensively to me to sustain a 162-game season. I'm going with 72 wins. Now let's go over to AL East, where we have the New York Yankees sitting at 95.5.
I'm going to go under. This is the same thing with the NL East. I think this is going to be competitive. And I know was it Britton is injured right now, so that's going to be a question mark.
He's think done for 3 to 4 months. So
yeah, right. So I think that's going to be that's going to be a hit to him. So I'm going to go with 92 because again, you're going
because you're a Red Sox fan, you can never give the Yankees credit.
No, the Red Sox aren't going to compete, but it's going to be they're going to play against the Yankees. They're going to play well. You got the Blue Jays, you got the Rays. Yeah. So I mean. These 4 teams are all going to play pretty well against each other, so that's why I'm going to go with, I think, 92. But I still do have the Yankees winning this division.
All right, well, I'm going to go under as well. I'm going to go 90. The Yankees just did not do enough to beef up the pitching staff. Again. Like, I don't understand why they don't believe that they need pitching. Year after year, they haven't won a World Series since 2009, and the reason is because they don't build pitching. I don't get it. So I'm going with 90 here, and I don't think they win the division. The Toronto Blue Jays at 86.5, over under.
Under. I mean, no, excuse me. I'm sorry. That's too low. Oh. Sorry. They'll be over that. I think they're going to be, 88, 90. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they're in like the 91 and they finish a game or 2 behind the Yankees. I want them to win this division. Don't get me wrong. Big fan of Vladdy, Bichette, Biggio, and that team. But it's going to be. I think this is the year the Yankees stay healthy and Judge and Stanton put up some decent numbers.
Oh yeah, they're going to put decent strikeout numbers. I'm going to go with 94 wins for the Toronto Blue Jays, and they win this division.
I like it. I hope so.
I am a big believer in the Toronto Blue Jays. I love what they're doing. I love the young core of second generation guys that they've got going on in Toronto. Yeah. I love this team, and I think that they're going to have a great year. 94 wins. Mark it down. You heard it here first. The Toronto Blue Jays are winning the AL East this year. Then, real quick, since we're up against it, running out of time here, we'll do the final 3 teams in this division. Tampa Bay Rays, 85.5, over, under.
Right around there, yeah. 85.
Yeah, I'm right with you. Boston Red Sox, 80.5.
100. I think
100 losses?
they're gonna. No, 100 wins. No, I think they finish around that 50-50. So yeah, 80. I'm gonna go 81.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit less. I'm gonna say 78. They've got a lot of stuff to figure out, and I'm just not a big believer in them right now. I can be after I see a little bit more about them, but I'm not. Baltimore Orioles, 64.5.
I'd go dead on 64.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, I mean, they could be another team that loses 100 games, so I'm gonna say 62, 64 area as well. All right, so we go over to the AL West. You got the Los Angeles Dodgers at 102.5.
Whew. No, not playing that San Diego Padres team. They'll be at like 90. I think both those teams are going to be in the mid 90s. Mid 90s, low 90s, 94, 92. I'm going to go with 92.
Yeah, it's really hard to repeat and have a great season after you've won a World Series. You can have a good season still and still win your division, but 102 wins is a lot. I know they're loaded. I'm not a big believer in the back end of the rotation. I've already said it a million times. I do not like Trevor Bauer as a pitcher. I do like him as a person. I'll watch every time he's out on the mound because I love the swagger that he brings to the game. But I'm just not a big believer in him numbers-wise. And same thing with David Price. I'd have to they're going to have amazing years out of those two to get 102.5. I'm going to have them down somewhere around 94 to 96 range for the Dodgers. San Diego Padres 94.5.
I'm going to go 94.5. I think that the Dodgers are a star-studded lineup, but where I think it's going to benefit the Padres is we see it in the National League. The pitchers don't hit well. So the Padres have, more on the bench as far as some younger players, and I think that's where it's going to help them. And again, it's going to be tough to repeat. It always, we see that in every sport. So that's why I got the Padres at 94, the Dodgers at 92.
Okay, and then the last couple teams in this division, we have got the San Francisco Giants at 75.5.
Yep, I think right on.
Yeah, I'm going to say 70, somewhere between 74 and 76. Arizona Diamondbacks, 74.5.
I'd go lower than that. They're another team that could be close to 100 losses.
I'm going to go 68 to 70 wins, somewhere in that
I'll go
area.
65.
But yeah, it's definitely down there. And then we go to the AL West, where they feel like they're going to have a down year in this division, because the first time you get to an AL West team is the Oakland A's at 87.5. I
like it. I think that's where it's going to be. Yep.
Yeah, I've got them about 90. They just always find a way. So I'm going to put them at 90 until they give me a reason not to put them at 90. I think that they're just a team that always finds a way. You got the Houston Astros at 86.5.
I think that's going to be about it. Yeah. They might get into 88, but yeah.
I'm going lower. I'm going about 500. Losing Springer. Altuve's just got to prove to me that he can do it without a buzzer on his chest. And last year, hitting 219, the year after getting caught cheating, was not a very good sign for him. And so they need to have big years. The pitching staff's not very good. I'm going to go about 581 wins. Los Angeles Angels, 83.5.
I think 85, but I wouldn't be surprised if they creep at 90 and they're your surprise team. I mean, we've talked a lot about them. Ohtani's going to be an X factor. Trout, Pujols going out this year. Rendon. They have a pretty solid lineup. So if they put it all together, I think they're going to be mid 80s, but I don't be surprised if they get to 90.
I got them at 93, and I got them winning the division. I'm very high on the Angels. I was high on them last year. They got off to a rough start, and then just got scorching hot after that. I love the lineup. I love the pitching rotation. I love Joe Madden as a manager.
I agree.
I've got the Angels at 93. I've got them winning this division. I've got them going deep into the playoffs as well. Texas Rangers, 66.5.
About that, yeah. I'd say 66.
Yeah. I think they're going to challenge Detroit for the worst team in baseball. I really do. This Texas Rangers team is not very good. I got a lot of family living in Texas. I got a lot of family who's listening to the show, and they all hate me right now. But I think that, they're going to be the only team that opens with 100% capacity, and they're going to have less fans than the teams that only have 20% capacity, even in that new ballpark. They are going to be ugly. So I just, I'm going really low on them. We are up against it, though. Drew does come in here and says, do I smell a DH argument? I would love to argue that. We could talk about that next week with Hoffy for sure. The NL absolutely needs to go to a DH, but they will not go to a DH, they've announced. So I hate that idea. But we'll get to that next week. We are out of time. Thank you guys for joining the Man Hour. Love you guys. Man Hour Nation, rise up.